right now we're going to start off with the first section of White Album 2. The non-spoiler section. White Album 2 is a story of a boy who's part of a music club. And the music club, all the members leave. So
not all the members.
All of them.
His best friend sticks around.
Yeah, his best friend sticks around. And he's like, well, I really...
time, but he sticks around.
Yeah. He's like, I want to go, play for, the school festival, but there's no members here. So he's just playing his favorite song on the guitar that he knows how to play, and then suddenly, this pianist who's in the music room next door, starts playing the piano along with the song.
This has been happening for quite some time at the point you're introduced to the characters in the story.
Yes. And then he starts hearing singing above him. And so his first thought process was, I got a band.
Yeah.
And he meets two characters, both female, the two main heroines of this story. And and he forms a band, they hit it off, and they perform at the school. 7 episodes of Trials and Tribulations for them to play at the school festival. And then school festival happens, and then the rest of White Album 2 happens.
Yeah, keyword, remember 7 episodes is the magic number, folks.
Out of 14.
7.
13.
Stop
13.
at 7.
13 out of 13. 13. This anime is 13 episodes long, so there's only 6 episodes of where it goes from there.
All right,
so,
I have to keep being unbiased, right? No, don't,
yes.
Yeah, don't stop at 7. Watch the whole thing.
Yeah, watch the whole thing.
Watch the whole thing.
No. Hold that. Yeah, hold that, Jay. Hold that thought.
This is
in a most non-spoilery way possible, what do you guys think about this show?
So, I'll start this off, I guess.
Yes, okay. So here's the thing. Me and Jay have been anxiously waiting for this day.
To see what I think about it.
Yes.
It's been 6 months.
Because I already told Connor all of this. I literally recanted the whole story to Connor.
Yeah.
And he came off of it going, wow. I won't say the rest, but wow.
So, I generally enjoyed White Album 2.
Okay.
Generally. Specifically, the earlier episodes I liked better, especially watching them. I was like, okay, it's been a while since I've watched a show like this, and it feels really nice to be watching a show like this again.
Yes. Well, again, I remember saying this to you and Jay both.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or is snafu happening right down the hall, down the staircase?
For me, it feels like Clanad should be happening at the same school.
Clanad. Oh my god.
Watching this for some... I think it's the whole VN nature of it, because this show, the entire way through, you can tell that it was a VN originally. And
because you see the multiple routes.
Yeah, and Clanad felt...
is a VN, yeah.
Similarly. Both of which
Jay,
are
what's your
VNs.
thought? You've seen Clanad. I've not seen it.
I've seen Season 1 of Clanad, and I saw a spoiler from Season 2, and I've refused to touch it.
I got a couple episodes into Season 2, I was like, I'm gonna stop.
Do you agree with Dawson that, this is happening, Clanad's also happening, 2 doors down from here?
Yeah, I think the first season of Clanad was great. I'm terrified to watch the second season.
But, I know, but in relation to White Album 2, does it feel does it feel like this story's taking place?
Absolutely, it's 2 doors down.
Yeah.
Okay, Dawson, continue.
They're just all kind of next to each other. But yeah,
8-Man's downstairs having his little shenanigans.
Yeah, dude, 8-Man's trying to be genuine.
I like 8-Man from Snafu.
8-Man's great.
I like 8-Man.
Oh, this is the most tangenty.
Yeah, well, it's because we all know that he's an amazing character.
Yes.
But speaking of characters, out of our 3 main cast.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the weakest point of the show for me personally, alongside sound direction, is that I didn't like the characters as much as I felt like I needed to for this show to be good. I enjoyed them, and I enjoyed watching a decent amount of the show, but the characters just could have been better written, and they weren't. That's how I feel.
Before we continue, just guys, can you check your recordings? Is everything running?
Yep.
Oh yeah, we're good.
Okay, just making 100% sure. Okay, continue. Jay, now your standpoint.
I agree. I think the characters probably were the weakest aspect of this. This is
so realistic.
But,
about that, I have.
Yeah, about that. This sort of show, and I see this a lot in plays too. It's supposed to be driven by the character's internal motivation and action, and then their response to another character's motivation. So objective and tactics.
Yeah.
I did not feel that the main character had a very strong super objective throughout the whole thing. He bounced back and forth, and it never really seemed like he was driving towards any one thing at any given point. And it was hard because I really liked the first 7 episodes. Because I didn't really know what I was getting into when I was watching the show, and I watched the first 7, and I was like.
And then you get to the 7th episode, and then immediately
Dotto
you
sent
feel...
me this text. He's like, dude, oh my god. And I'm watching the first 7. I'm like, what's Dotto talking about? This is great. and
then you get to that moment where you just feel internal dread.
Yeah, and then I saw it going downhill real quick.
For me, it wasn't 7. It was 10. Or 11. It was 11.
Oh, was that the one where they switched perspective?
I liked the whole backstory segment.
Okay.
In those couple episodes.
I also appreciate the backstory segments.
But once they got out of the backstory segmentation, that one I was like, oh yeah, this is going on, huh?
I like the backstory segment too. I will touch on it more because I appreciate it because it kind of flips the story on its head.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I say like the first 7 is because once I hit that 7th and they go, they say that line, I felt the internal dread. And the problem was, I was reading the Reddit thread.
Yeah.
Right? And because I read the Reddit thread, I said, something bad is going to happen any minute now.
Yeah.
And for 6 episodes, I sat there and said, something bad is going to happen.
Okay, so, it was pretty evident from the beginning, regardless of what you read beforehand.
It's a love triangle.
Also, the main character says it the first episode, so he was like, "We were all great and dandy at this point," and then obviously we're implying that something happened.
Jay was getting a lot of text of me going, "Oh man, this is like fucked. Like, this is no good."
And episode 10 was rough, as I can remember it.
The thing is, from my perspective, I know where Jay stands on this. I don't know where Dawson stands on it. But I will continuously say I am super on the fence about this show. This is one of the most polarizing shows I could ever see. Because there are a lot of aspects that I go, I understand why people appreciate it. Why people like it.
Yeah.
And I also understand this is something I would like. But then down to my core, it says no. Even though your mind says you should like this, inside you go, no, you shouldn't like this.
I think it's hilarious because when I watched this, my initial response, because I didn't look at Reddit reviews or anything like that before I came on to it. Are we allowed to go into spoilers now?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Give it another 2-3 more minutes, and then we'll switch over.
But when I watched this show, I did not expect what happened, and I thought there would have been a more universal hatred for the way certain things were done within the context of the show, but in actuality people loved it, and that's what scared me the most.
The implications of that.
Yeah, the implications of what happens in the show and how people rallied to it. I was like, oh my god, no. Wait.
I love how we tiptoe around this, because this is just like our Nagi no Asakura, where we are tiptoeing around everything.
Yeah.
So, let's start getting into it, but first and foremost, I will not do the rating system. I'll do the rating system during the discussion section. Recommendation, yes or no? For me, I would say I would recommend this for people who like this genre. And even though that it's a very polarizing show myself, and I know where Jay stands on this, I say people need to experience this show.
I would only recommend this to somebody who has watched shows generally like this before. Someone who's watched
Nagi no Asakura.
romancy, tragedy shows before, high school-y sorts of shows, and they've watched a decent amount of them, and they haven't watched this yet, yeah, you should watch it. But otherwise, there's a lot of other shows I would recommend to you before watching this show. And maybe if you don't like those, definitely don't get to this show.
So, Jay, what do you think?
If you enjoy romance as a genre, and you happen to like it like I do, there are other alternatives that I would encourage you to consider.
Better alternatives?
First, there are better alternatives out there. Obviously, we've talked so much about this. If you're like me, the curiosity is going to get the better of you. Don't say we didn't warn you. But there are better alternatives in terms of watching a show with more fluid, well-developed characters and a more thought-out plot line. There are other shows that you can watch that are a little bit more put together than this one.
Okay.
If you're interested in this show and you haven't watched it, just watch. If you want something more on the sad line, go watch Your Lie in April instead. And if you want something happier, go watch K-On! Instead.
Or Nagi no Asakura.
And I guess you could go watch Nagi no Asakura if you want some...
Chances are...
No, but you should watch... If this is what you're looking at, you should just watch Your Lie in April.
Oh.
And maybe K-On! If you want something super heavy.
Yeah.
That's my recommendations over this. And if you've watched both of those...
Well, we should actually point this out, too. This is technically the first third of a story that probably will never be animated.
Yeah.
So...
thank God.
I mean, there are some arguments, and me and Jay, we've read it, so... but there are some arguments who say that the ending, you need to go and read the document somebody wrote up about, like, the rest of the story.
Yeah.
But from my standpoint of just this anime alone, I'd say I'd recommend it for the people who are into this genre, but I won't heavily recommend it. But it's something that I feel needs to be experienced masochistically or sadistically. Either or.
Yeah, I think that's the two ways to enjoy this show.
Yeah.
And if you do happen to watch this show, heed my warning now. Take about 3 days before you decide to read the after story that comes afterward, because you may get a lot of feelings towards that after story if you don't wait. Ugh.
I haven't read that yet.
You read it right after.
I read it
Jay?
like the second I finished.
Okay, because I did that too.
And that was just
okay. Wait.
We'll do this.